Okay. Hello, my name is Artem, and this is my Education 10 final presentation. Let me just get this out of the way, and let's get started. My presentation is going to be about setting good goals. This is something that helped me tremendously. A lot of what I'm going to discuss can be found in Dweck's article titled Motivational Processes Affect Learning, published in 1986. A major point of concern for me when studying was just not being able to get anything done, and that's why I'm going to be covering setting good goals. So first, let's start with what even is a good goal. What do we mean by a goal? Is it a task? Is it something that we see long term for ourselves? Well, according to Dweck's article, there are two main types of goals. She has her performance goals as well as learning goals. The performance goal would be something you try to accomplish in order to impress, let's say, coworkers, colleagues, fellow students, a supervisor, but it is mainly extrinsic. It has nothing to do with what you want to perfect. It has entirely everything to do with wanting to get good impressions from people. On the other hand, learning goals, which is going to be the center of everything that we discussed today, are goals that are focused around your own desire to perfect and master a subject. Uh, Learning goals are shown by Dweck's research, as said here. Learning goals lead to better, excuse me, academic achievement. And we will discuss why later. But from now on, whenever I refer to, or whenever I use the term goals, it's going to be used in reference to Dweck's learning goals. Why do these goals work? Because they are centered around a growth mindset. Dweck's ideology, her learning goals, are centered around the concept that we can better ourselves through a growth mindset, or excuse me, through a growth, through a growth mindset. We can better ourselves when we have this impression of ourselves that we can better ourselves. And that is a very key ingredient in good goal setting, so to say. So they are completely intrinsic and self-regulated and has nothing to do with how others perceive you, how you want others to perceive you, has nothing to do with, let's say, maybe getting a raise or getting the approval of your teachers, professors, your friends, your family, has everything to do with I want to learn the basis of a subject. I want to know, not I want to regurgitate information for people to think, wow, he's so smart. And now let's go over what even composes a good goal. What are the elements of a good goal? The first of which is because we are going about this idea of goals as something that need to be intrinsic. The first element is a good goal is self-chosen. Simply put, you can regulate it yourself. It is intrinsic. It is something that you want to do. It is something that you want to master. No one is telling you to do X, Y, and Z. It is entirely an intrinsic motivation that you are willing to pursue a subject or a field of education. Second of which is it needs to be somewhat challenging. Somewhat challenging as in it is not so challenging as to seem impossible or inconceivable, but challenging enough to where it is stimulating. It gets you involved. It gets you to want to know more. Uh, because really think about it. I mean, how would you feel if you were to sit and learn how to color in a book? That's not difficult. That's not interesting. It's not in any way, shape, or form challenging. But if I told you to sit down and learn quantum mechanics, you probably wouldn't be so inclined to do that. There needs to be a Goldilocks zone of challengingness. The third of which is realistic. Now, the example that I put here is a little bit personal to me, but were I to posit that I could gain 10 pounds of muscle overnight, you would definitely call me mad. But if I set the same goal within the span of 6 months, that's a much more feasible and conceivable goal. The realism in this case refers to the span of time and duration which we choose to accomplish this goal. It needs to be realistic. You cannot say, I'm going to look like Chris Hemsworth by the end of tonight. It's not going to happen, no matter how far you try to take it. And again, though this example is extrinsic, the same applies intrinsically. Cannot do something that you yourself do not believe in. Yes, the gaining 10 pounds of muscle is purely cosmetic, but it applies just as much to learning goals. The fourth of which is measurability. The example I gave here is with regards to pollution. So let's say one day I tell my friends, I'm going to stop polluting. How would I measure that? How can I say with certainty that I have stopped polluting? What pollution am I referring to? Light, sound, carbon emissions, so on and so forth. There's no way to posit that I have certainly achieved my goal of stopping polluting. But if I said I'm going to stop using plastic cups, that's a measurable goal. See, I can say with certainty that I have not used plastic cups anymore. If I were to tell you I'm going to learn electrical engineering, what does that even entail? How can I assert with assurance that I have learned electrical engineering? What I can say in turn is I want to learn, or sorry, I want to earn a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. That is much more feasible. That is measurable. I can measure when I have my bachelor's degree. Goal needs to be measurable. You need to be able to track it. There's no sense of vagueness or vastness leading to a feeling of a goal being incredulous and unfeasible. There should be a clear and concise quota or criterion that you try to achieve. It needs to be feasible. The fifth of which is specificity. So, how would you go about achieving a goal? With the same example of the plastic cups. So, I posit that I want to stop using plastic cups. How would I go about that? Well, in this solution, maybe I could get a hydro flask or one of those Owala bottles or something of the sort, or a Stanley. That's definitely a way I could do it. I should have a clear path to achieving my end goal, what I want to do. Again, most of these examples are not related to learning, but it's just for a general understanding of the concept. Sixth of which, the sixth rule of composing a good goal has to do with its finiteness. Again, with the cups. I never specified when do I stop polluting? When do I stop using plastic cups? When do I start? When do I end? So on and so forth. Now, with the plastic cups example, I could say I start tomorrow and it ends when I die, and there's a certain exception there. But I can certainly say when I'll start. It needs to be finite in its duration of time. It can't be, I'm going to start sometime soon and I'm going to finish sometime soon. There needs to be a finite and concise date or time allocated to a goal. The seventh element of a good goal is positivity. Again, with the cups example, I never said I might someday stop using plastic cups. I might someday stop polluting. With certainty, I said tomorrow, July 23rd, I am going to stop using plastic cups with certainty. I'm not going to, and excuse my language here, I'm not going to pussyfoot about it. I'm not going to dip my toe in the water. I'm going to assert that I can and I will, with full confidence, stop using plastic cups. Now, though this example refers to the uncertainty of a goal, you also can't say I can't do something. I can't stop using plastic cups. It's too hard. It's not conceivable. That is a terrible, terrible attitude to have when setting a goal. Why should you care about setting a good goal? This is my personal reason. Yours may differ. For me, it was studying felt as this big, great thing that I just couldn't do, especially when it came to my finals. I remember I had a Math 10A final, and it just felt so grandiose and inconceivable, and it felt like a Sisyphean task. It felt like I was pushing a boulder up a never-ending mountain. It just didn't feel like something I could see the end of. It felt too big, too incoherent, too invisible. I couldn't see it. I couldn't feel it. There was no tactility to it. I couldn't imagine finishing it. Setting good goals, breaking down a very grandiose, a titanic task into small, little components. Like, for example, studying. I'm going to do chapter one, this exercise, or this exercise and this question, this example in the midterm, let's say. Breaking it down into small bits reduce this image of being too grand a challenge to assert myself into, and it made it easy, visible. There was a clear path, clear way to do it. It didn't seem as though it was something too big for me to accomplish. It felt real, tangible, tactile. Now, I personally am trying to combine it with calendars like that proposed by Thibodeau et al. In their 2017 paper, setting the schedule with accurate time measurements and allocations as to what is what and what you want to do and planning your day in a realistic way is certainly a very, very good thing to incorporate with this goal setting task. Or sorry, this goal setting attitude, let's say. And again, how I applied it was just as I described. It was breaking down a goal into something small and feasible and tangible and doable, something possible. And one really good way I can describe it is with this clip, which you can feel free to watch on your own time. It is relating to the show Friends. Chandler and Monica are getting married. Chandler runs out because he thinks it's too big. Getting married is too big. And in the scene, Ross says, "Forget about getting married. Can you just put on a suit?" Chandler goes, "Yes, great. Can you shower?" He goes, Yeah, sure." He goes, "Can you walk up the aisle?" He goes, "Yeah, sure." Instead of this big thing being, "Oh, I'm going to get married and have kids and I'm going to die," it got broken down into very small, conceivable, visible, and tactile steps. It felt very tangible. It felt like something you could grasp instead of this blob of incoherence and mystique. It became something very real and doable. In the future, how do I plan on using goal setting techniques like that described by Dweck? Going to try to incorporate it with Thibodeau et al.'s 2017 description of a good calendar. The good thing is I went from not being able to do anything to being able to do things, but not within the best timeliness and concision. I'm now able to do things. I'm now able to accomplish my tasks. It's just sometimes maybe they're a little bit late, but still, goal setting has been incredible for me. It has helped me tremendously. I cannot sing its praises enough. It's helping me with the accomplishment of a task. The timeliness is still something that I need to hone in, but definitely the goal setting aspect has been an incredible help. Thank you very much. I hope you have a lovely, lovely summer. And my name has been Artem Akbari. It's been fun. Take care. How do I stop recording?